Okay, welcome everybody to episode 5 of the podcast. Today I'll be interviewing a good friend of mine. His name is João. He's from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. We met when he came to Japan and he was studying Japanese. And he's one of the one of the most inspirational people I was fortunate to meet during my time here. And yeah, like the stuff he taught me was, like I just won't forget. So yeah, today I'd like to interview him and ask about his life and how he's handling this Corona situation as well. So what's up?
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you remember the stuff I talked to you, but it wasn't lessons. It was just like two friends talking. So anything that you got from that, it was just like pure friendship reflection. So
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you taught me so much about like being confident and being more sociable or like just trying new stuff and yeah, something like that. It really like improved my life in general. So yeah.
I'm glad that you saw it that way. For me, it was just more like me trying to help a friend, like to do things that I think that are better for us.
Oh yeah, okay. I guess the first question I would like to ask, like, so what does friendship mean to you?
That's a tricky question, right? uh, I'm not much of a social media guy, so in that age that we're living, like when people keep in touch by WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram, I suck at that. I'm not much of a social media guy.
Uh-huh.
So for a lot of people, friendship means like you have to keep in touch, you have to talk always and stuff like that. But for
Right.
me, friendship is more about like the times that you are together and what you think about the person and stuff like that. It's not like it only for me. It only depends on you, your feelings. Like it happens a lot that a person likes the other more than it likes back.
Right. Right.
So for me, friendship is about the feeling that you have towards that person.
I
So
see.
even though I don't keep in touch with most of my friends, like you, for instance, but I consider you a really good friend, like family like friend. But even though I don't talk to you every week, even though I don't see you every week, I still consider you my friend. Like if I see you today or if I see you in 10 years, it will still be the same thing because my feelings, my respect, my consideration towards you are the same. So that's what friendship is to me. Like it's a feeling that you have towards other person.
Wow, thanks a lot, man. Yeah, I feel the same way. Because like you don't have to like always keep in touch with the person to know that you're friends, you just know it by yourself, right? Like, and the other person knows it as well. So
Yeah.
yeah. So like during this time when everybody's mostly staying at home, quarantine and stuff. So do you spend more of this time keeping in touch with your friends since you have more time?
No. It's what I said, man. I hate like being on the phone and like typing. If you wanna
Uh,
call on Skype, I will answer and I will love it. But talking through messages and like keep texting is not something that I enjoy.
right.
Or talking on the phone. My girlfriend gets mad at me because I don't like
Uh,
to talk on the phone a lot with the phone on my ears. It gets hot. I get angry and I don't like it. So I'm keeping in touch with my friends the same amount that I was keeping in touch with them before. Obviously, if you take out the part that I meet them. You know me well enough. You know that I'm a very physical person that like
right, right,
yeah, presently like my body needs to be there.
right,
I'm that type of person. I'm more like face to face.
right.
So it's been really hard, man. Like staying at home, not leaving, and like having to deal with all the problems without having to without being able to go outside and solve them like that. That's been tough for me.
How about you and your girlfriend though? Do you guys? I mean, in quarantine mode, you don't have opportunities to see her as well, right?
No, the thing is, she stayed here for a month
Uh-huh.
because like the thing is with Corona, like the incubation time is 7 to 14 days.
Right.
So if 14 days passed and you didn't got sick, you probably don't have it.
Right.
So we were like probably like more than a month without seeing each other, and I told her like, no, 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 you need to come here.
Uh-huh.
I don't mind getting it if you have it. So I went
Wow.
there, I picked her up and brought her here, and
Uh-huh.
she stayed here. And what we talked is like, okay, if you get coronavirus here, you don't want to like pass it on to your family. So you're gonna stay here uh, enough days that we know you don't have it.
Right, right.
So I picked her up, like got on my car, caught her, brought her back, and she stayed here like for a month and a week, and then she
Okay.
went back. Like she went back last week.
And do you think this is gonna continue for like, this kind of situation for a long time?
The only thing I can make is an educated guess, right? I'm not a doctor, I'm not a specialist or anything, but
Right.
if I had to guess, I would guess that like even when the isolation starts to fade, like because of the government start to relax on the isolation, the lockdown, we're
Uh,
still gonna have problems because the problem is not about like getting the corona. The virus itself is not as dangerous as other diseases, but the problem is the health system cannot take everyone.
right, right.
So like here in Rio, for instance, like the ICU rate for
Uh-huh.
like occupation is in 95%.
Wow, that's really high.
Like if you get sick, there is a really high chance you don't have an ICU for you.
Wow, okay.
So
That
like
sounds
that's
pretty
the
bad.
real issue.
Uh,
Like I think when the ICU occupation rate starts to like get back to normal rates, we are gonna
uh-huh.
be able to relax on the lockdown, but we are still gonna have that problem. The thing we need is the vaccine. If we don't have the vaccine, like I don't see an end to this. Like I really
So,
don't, because I read some reports that
uh-huh.
you can get the virus more than one time
Right, right,
because of the mutation. It's like the flu virus. It mutates.
right,
So
right.
just because you caught once, it doesn't mean you're not gonna get it again. I only see this improving when we get the vaccine. And I estimate, and then the health organization, the World Health Organization, they estimate that for a year and a half. So like only next year we're gonna have the vaccine.
So I guess you wouldn't be able to like see your friends or your girlfriend that often, right? This-
I mean, it's like I said, at least when the ICU occupation rate gets low, we are gonna be able to relax on the lockdown, but we are still gonna need to be really careful, like wear masks, gloves, be careful with touching other people and stuff like that.
Right. Wow. Uh, well, I guess for you it must be really difficult though, because you said you're a very physical kind of guy, and then now you can't even touch people or even, stand near them. So yeah, I mean, like because you said like you're a very physical person, right? And now with the virus, you can't even touch people. I mean, you can't even stand close to them because you don't want to infect somebody, or they might infect you, kind of thing. So how does that feel?
That sucks. Yeah, man, that sucks not only for me because as much as I am a physical person,
Uh-huh.
I'm not even close like to being the most physical person here in Brazil. Like
Mm.
Brazilians are very physical persons. Like for me,
Right. Right. Uh-huh.
I'm getting like a relatively easy time with it. Like
Okay.
there are a lot more people that are more physical than me. Like the two kisses on the cheek, like there's people that feel like they have to do it if they need to, like, and in this time we can't do it.
When I was in Netherlands, I had like some Spanish what friends. They were living with me in the same dorm, and then they were like so mad because we can't touch each other anymore. They're like so sad. They're like so sad and complaining and like, oh fuck the corona and all that.
Yeah, man, like there's people here getting really depressed about it because I think that's the touching the physical part of our culture is how we deal with our problems. Like we deal with our problems by being emotional and like relying on like this physical contact. And without it, there's some
Right.
people going like insane. Like this week, like past week, one of
Uh-huh.
the one of my neighbors here were like was like outside on the parking lot, like
Uh-huh.
just clapping and jumping and screaming and like he was.
Well,
And when someone went on the balcony and asked him why he was doing that, and he
uh-huh.
said that he couldn't take it being at home alone anymore, so he was on the parking lot like
Well,
clapping,
okay.
dancing, and screaming. I mean, like here, like I don't want to get into like talking politics here because right now in Brazil there is a touchy subject. We have a president that's like from the alt right, you
Uh-huh.
know, extreme right wing.
Right. Right.
So he was like against Corona the whole time. He said that it was just a flu when
Uh-huh.
like Wuhan in China was on lockdown. People were like locked down in their homes, and he was saying that it was just the flu. That people should man up and like go out.
Okay.
So what happened is like a lot of people worship him.
Uh-huh.
So the people that worship him, they are spreading like a lot of fake news and like saying that the virus was built in China in a lab and China infected the world on purpose and this kind of like fake news. And they
Right.
are going out, like they are not staying home. They are spreading the virus. Like
If,
so
if
the struggle here is like the governors
uh-huh.
and the community chiefs, they are doing what they can to keep people inside, but the president is not. The president is going against it. So we have an example of a mayor from a southern city in Brazil that he was supporting the president and saying like, no, coronavirus is just a thing, like it's not dangerous and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And he let the malls open,
Okay.
and the coronavirus cases in his city went up almost 200% in a week.
Wow.
So because
Damn.
of that, like polarization in politics right now, it's
Uh-huh.
being even harder to like fight the virus. Like because there's people that just don't believe it is dangerous.
Well, and then that makes it harder for like, to take away the lockdown procedure, right? Then they have to extend it because, the cases are rising and so on.
Yeah, and like the psychological side is that if you're at home, you're doing your part, like you're like staying at home on lockdown, you're already like depressed and sad because you can't go outside. And you
Right.
look outside your window and you see people outside.
Uh-huh.
That only makes it worse because you're like, why am I on lockdown and they are not? So the governor here in Brazil is
Uh-huh.
thinking about passing a decree
Uh-huh.
saying that people can't walk on the street. Like the police is gonna be on the street
Oh,
finding
okay.
people and telling them to go home.
I see. I see. Wow. I guess it's gonna be even tougher when that
Yeah,
happens.
I heard the podcast with the Indian friend, and
Uh-huh.
he talked about the police like hitting people and stuff.
Right. Right.
I'm thinking that's the next step here in Rio. Like the police is gonna start hitting people on the street, like go home, motherfucker.
Wow. Okay. Actually, yeah, it's happening in Malaysia as well. if you're underage, then yeah, the police will just like, whack you and tell you to go home. But if you're like overage, like an adult, then you have to pay a fine. So yeah, probably something like that, maybe.
I think that's the next step here. Like we are really close from that.
I think Latin culture and Japanese culture is really different, right? So did you
Yeah.
feel any like I guess I think maybe I asked you this before. I'm not really sure what was your answer, but do you feel any like culture shock when you came to Japan at first?
No, not at all. I thought it was like
Uh-huh.
really. I think I thought I was going to feel more. I felt it obviously. Like it's like a different universe. Like a week in Japan, I was like, man, I think I got into a rocket and like I got into a wormhole or something like that because
Uh-huh.
it doesn't feel like the same universe. But I went with such low expectations on that that I thought it was like, oh, okay, it's not as bad as I thought. But
Oh.
the culture shock was huge because
Uh-huh.
uh, I was always scared of getting close to people. Like I was always like, okay, if I get closer, it's gonna be a bad thing or is this okay? So the culture shock for me, uh, the 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 worst part was that like being always afraid of getting too close.
Um, you mean like physically or, like emotionally close?
No, physically.
Oh, physically close. Okay.
Yeah, especially because a lot of Japanese people like speak with such a low voice
Right.
that
Uh-huh.
sometimes I just wanted to get closer to listen better.
Right.
And I was like, always was like, should I get closer? Should I ask them to say again? Like once, like I think I shook the hand of a girl,
Uh-huh.
and she took her hand out and was like looking at me with like a scared face.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember when it was. It was like on my first month there. I think classes just started, and I went like to the fast food chain, like the green one,
Uh-huh.
the burger one. Like it was
Oh,
like almost in front of the Yoshida. Yeah.
oh, the Moss Burger. Okay.
Yeah, Moss Burger, and a girl helped me with the menu.
Uh-huh.
And when she helped me, like she went like to bend and to say like I just to they bend because of everything. So like she bent, but her
Uh-huh.
hand was in front. So I thought she was wanting to shake my hand. So
Uh-huh.
I went to shake her hand, and she was like creeped out by me. Like I was like, shit, sorry.
Wow, okay.
And then there was
Uh,
this funny episode, but that was on purpose. Like on my last day on Yoshida, do you
right.
remember? I think it was my sensei,
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
small one. Like
Yeah, the small one. Yeah, I remember.
on my last day on Yoshida, I told her like I'm not gonna see you again, so I'm gonna hug you, and I hugged her. I felt her tremble, like she was like shaking,
I see.
and she looked at me like she was blushing when I hugged her. It was really
Oh,
but that was on purpose.
oh, that's so funny though.
You should see it, man. Like it was really funny. Marion was laughing all the time.
Wow, okay. Damn. So like, but isn't it weird? Cause for you, cause like you said, like in your culture, like hugging is normal, but in like Japan, you like nobody hugs. I think. Well, I mean, if you're out in public, you don't usually do it. And
Yeah, it was strange, but you adapt, you know. Like I think one of the nice things that I noticed
mhm,
in the language school is people that go to other countries to learn and to experience things. They are more open to adapt.
right.
So of course I felt the difference of like this physical part, but I
Uh-huh.
was willing to go through that, you know. So
Right.
it wasn't that hard. It was like more of a learning thing.
I see. Oh yeah, you told me at the start like you don't usually keep in touch with people once you're over through the phone or anything. And then when you were in Japan, was it hard to like keep in touch with your friends and family back home?
Like I said, like my friends know me. Like if you're my friend, you know me well enough that I don't keep in touch. Like
Right.
if something happened, like I will talk to you, but unless something happened or we're gonna meet, like I'm not gonna talk to you. So
Oh,
the only people that I really talked in Japan was my girlfriend, my father, and my mother. My
I see.
father was like really overprotective, so he would call me every day in the morning and in the night.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, every day, man. I had to do like a video call with him.
Oh yeah, even when we went to where was that? Nagano, right?
Yeah,
With
Yudanaka.
yeah, with Pauline and Stella.
Yeah,
Uh yeah, those were good times. Good times.
yeah. I still have the picture.
I wanted to ask as well, like you say you've been with your girlfriend for 11 years, and well, that's quite amazing. Um, do you have any like is there any like method, or was there like some sort of thinking that managed to, like how'd you get through all the tough times together and still go on this strong for 11 years?
Man, like I think the first thing
Uh-huh.
is about your feelings. Like I'm not talking about that movie like love. I mean like you you have a person that you like, you are in a relationship with her,
Hmm.
and if you try to think like, can I stay with her my whole life? And if it's easy for you to picture that, you already got the first step. Like you know that is worth it because you can picture yourself with her for the rest of your life. So that's
Right.
the first step. The
Uh-huh.
second step is talking. Like the basis of a good relationship is conversation. Like you have to talk. It doesn't matter if it's sad, if it's bothersome, the subject, you have to talk. Like if something small bothers you, you have to talk about it. Like the faster you can solve that, the faster is one less problem to accumulate and become a bigger problem.
Do you have an example of like what is that problem or that small thing you're supposed to talk about?
Like I was always like that. Like that's probably from my personality, but my girlfriend wasn't. She was the type of person that like if something bothers her, she would keep that to herself, and eventually she would have so many things like build up inside her that she would
Oh,
blow up.
okay.
And that's one of the things that piss me off is like this blowing up stuff. Like you're gonna start saying a lot of things that I didn't know, and I'm gonna get pissed because I'm gonna be like, why didn't you say that when it happened? And an example of that, it was like, let me see. I have a cousin that he was going through some tough times with his family, so he
Mm,
was coming to my house a lot.
right.
So because he was going through that tough times, I was giving a lot of attention to him, and I
Right.
was kind of leaving my girlfriend like a little bit to the side, because I had to give him more attention.
Right.
So
Okay.
the months went passing, and she went like getting these small situations that bother her and not talking to me. And eventually, she was so mad at me that she blew up, and we had a fight.
Hmm.
And I talked to her, and one of the other important things is like she had something to say, but because I always solve my problems with her, I didn't have anything to say. So it didn't turn into that huge fight,
I
you
see.
know?
Okay.
That's one of the reasons you should always like solve your small problems too, because when it gets the time to the fight, you're not angry. You don't have any reason to be angry because you are okay. You have nothing to be angry about. So I was composed and like talked to her and like, okay, why is that? And we talked and we got to an understanding. Like I made her understand that that was the time that I need to give him attention, and we talked about the things that I did that she didn't like, and some things I said, okay, this was out of my control. Like if that happens again, I'm gonna have to do it this again. But this thing I can change. Like this I can do different next time. So these small compromises that you make are the key to solving these small problems. Like you need to talk about like if you can compromise or not. If you can compromise, you should do it because it's important for the other person, so you should do it. But if you can't compromise, you need to get her to understand that the reason why you can't compromise, and she needs to understand.
Okay. Wow, that's pretty good advice.
Yeah, if you talk to her, she's probably gonna say the same thing. Like we talk a lot, and we got to that understanding, man, that like the reason why we work so well together is because we talk a lot.
I see, I see.
And let me get something straight. It's not about not having secrets. We have some secrets between each other. It's more about not having anything bothering you, not having anything on your conscience.
Right, just keeping it clear so like, we can just freely be ourselves kind of thing,
As
right?
long as you're fair to the other person, like
Mm-hmm.
that's all. It falls into that category of things like don't do it to yourself, to other persons, what you don't like them to do it to you.
True, true. Ah, that's pretty good advice. Well, this is like your years of experience.
Yeah, man. Like that's something that I can say like confidently that I have a lot of experience in relationship in
I
long
see.
relationships. Like
So what is the future gonna look like for both of you?
married and like we didn't got married yet just because I don't want to get married and keep living with my family. So since neither of us are in a place that we can marry and move,
Mm-hmm.
decided not to get married yet. But the future look like probably in the next 5 years married. And about kids, we talked about it, but I want to have as many kids as I can.
Wow, okay. How
Key
many?
part, key part being I
Uh-huh.
can. Like I'm conscious enough to not put a kid in the world that I can provide for him. So the deal that I have with her is like we're gonna have as many kids as we can financially sustain.
Okay, that's cool.
If I become like a rich guy, I'm probably gonna have like 7 kids.
Wow, 7 kids.
But if I'm broke as fuck, I'm
Uh-huh.
probably gonna have no kid or one.
I
You know?
see, yes. So you guys basically talk about the future already and like, how you guys want to see and live together as well, right?
Yeah, we talk career paths and stuff like that. He knows that the career that I want to pursue might need me to travel a lot.
Right.
So we both are aware of like our choices. We talked about it. We made our compromises. Like uh, I'm okay with you doing that, but you have to compromise on this, and she was okay, and I was okay with my compromises.
Ah, I see, I see. Oh, that's good. Like it's not like being selfish, but like, understanding what the other person needs as well.
Yeah, it's like you have to support each other. Like we support each other, and I know what she wants, what's her dream, what she wants from her life, and I want her to get it. If in that path there is something that bothers me, I'm gonna try to understand as much as I can, and if bothers me enough to talk to her, then I would try to make a compromise that can work for both of us.
I see. Well, that's really mature when you look when you talk it that way.
Yeah, man, but that's what's relationship look like
I see.
when you don't like fighting and when you like stable life and
Mm.
not creating any problems for you.
I'm gonna change the subject a little bit. How do you stay positive during tough times? Like, do you have a method, or how do you cope with, difficult times, like even now, or yeah.
Man, like I'm going through some rough times lately, like for the past 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about staying positive for me is being confident in myself and knowing that I can adapt to any situation that might come.
Okay.
My father like said to me this a lot. He always said that the human beings can adapt to any situation, any place, any situation. You can adapt.
Right.
You can live with it. So that's I think what keeps me positive in any situation. Like I know that no matter what happens, no matter what I have to do, I will adapt. No
I
matter
see.
how bad or how good, I will adapt.
So your father taught you this ever since you were a kid, right? Or
Yeah, like he had like two sayings that he, he repeated for me a lot. One was that, and the other one is kind of funny because if you take it out of context, it doesn't work. Like it has to be on his context. Like
uh-huh.
he always said, like people who talk a lot make a lot of mistakes. People who kind of don't talk make fewer mistakes, and people who don't talk at all don't make mistakes.
Oh, okay. I
If you
see.
take it out of context, it's like it doesn't work. It's not right. It's just not right. But the
So,
context is like
uh-huh.
knowing when to listen, knowing when to pay attention. That's the context. Like you have to know when to shut up and listen. That's the context of the saying.
Wow. So this is the reason why I mean, you also used it in your relationships with people, right? This kind of knowing when to listen and all that.
Yeah, of course, man. It's like uh, I think this saying applies really well when you are in a conversation and you start talking too much. Like you're bound to make a mistake. You're bound to say something that you're probably gonna think about later and say like, I probably shouldn't have said that. Nope.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you rapid fire questions, and you have to answer them on the top of your head, like the first thing that pops in your mind.
Okay.
What is your favorite Japanese food?
Japanese gyoza. That's no brainer gyoza.
Yours. Okay. Who's your favorite anime character?
Anime character. I think Edward from Full Metal.
If you could travel to any country in the world right now at this moment, where would you go?
Japan.
If you could relive one moment in 1 year in your life, which year would that be?
Probably I'm a very nostalgic person, so I'm gonna say like the my my last year in middle school.
Last year in middle school. Why is
Yeah,
that?
because it wasn't the best year, like in terms of like me being happy,
Uh-huh.
but it was a year of a lot of changes. Like it was a year that forced me to change in a lot of ways. So, and I was really in touch with my family in that year too.
I see. So it was like a difficult time, was it?
No, it was not that it was difficult. Like I was really like an introvert person in middle school, and before that, I
Uh-huh.
was really shy and I didn't talk to people a lot. But in the last year middle school to first year high school, I had to move neighborhoods.
Right.
So in that year, like, and I moved in the middle of the year. So I moved in the middle of the school year too.
So you had to like change friends and
So in my
environment.
new neighborhood, I knew nobody, so I was more in touch with my family, and I was forced to be more like socially active for like to gain a little life in the new neighborhood.
I see. Oh,
And it was the year that I started playing handball too.
oh yeah, handball. Okay, just two more questions. What is your favorite genre of music?
Favorite genre of music, man. Like these favorite things always get me because I'm not much of a like a favorite thing guy.
Oh,
Some things that like obviously like you said like favorite Japanese food that is easy gyoza. But when it
you,
goes to movies and animes and TV shows, it's hard
uh,
for me to pick favorites, man. But if I had to pick, it would probably be pop punk.
pop?
Pop punk like Blink 182, Sum 41, and
Okay. Oh yeah, we used to sing that in karaoke. Okay, good times. All right, last question. If you could change one thing about the world, what would that be?
but what do you mean? Like you mean like let me think. That question cannot be answered from the top of my head, man. Come on. Like,
I mean, I don't know. It can be anything. Like, let's say I don't want, you know, diseases, or, I don't want people to get old, or, age, or, you know.
I'm a person that like lives in the real world. I'm not gonna say like ideally stuff like that.
Okay.
If I can say a change, it's gonna be probably a change that can be made. I'm probably gonna say something about the environment. Like if I could change something, I would change the way that humans treat the environment.
Uh,
Because like people won't change, man. That's the nature of human beings. So I'm not gonna say like world peace or anything like that, or like people
okay.
like each other more, or that's not gonna change.
Right.
But the way we treat the environment is something that can like give us a more healthy life and stuff like that. So I'm probably gonna go for that. That's my answer.
All
The
right.
way we treat the environment.
All right. Cool. That's an awesome answer. Well, anyways, this is BDN. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you for having me, man.